And I'm your local guide for Luxembourg. My name is a long and complicated German one, Hans Peter Peter. So Hans is absolutely sufficient, and I really look forward to show you some of the highlights of Luxembourg. So when we are talking about Luxembourg, we must be careful because there are two things that have the name Luxembourg. First of all, the country where we are now moving, this is called Luxembourg. It's a sovereign state, it's a founding member of the European Union, and it's a Grand Duchy, it's a monarchy. I'll tell you something more about the political things here in Luxembourg later. We are now going to visit the capital city of this country, and the capital city has the same name. It's called Luxembourg as well. So you are now in Luxembourg, and on a ride of approximately 30-35 minutes until we reach the capital city, and the capital city is called Luxembourg. So very easy. And this town here that we are leaving now and where the ship is docked is called Remisch. It's one of the beautiful towns along the Moselle River, and with a lot of vineyards and wine growing, and it's a beautiful place here, a little bit touristic, but not too much tourism, so it's still very, very natural. And as we are going to visit the capital city is the largest city of Luxembourg, and has a population citizenship of about 120,000 people. That means these are roughly 20-25% of the complete population of the country. The complete country has only 800,000 people living. So in the big cities in Europe and America, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 millions of people living in one city. Here we have 800,000 living in one complete country. And it's a very small one, to drive through the country from the western to the eastern corners, it takes only approximately 1 hour, and from the southern to the northern edge, 145, and the complete country has only 1,050 square miles. So very small. It's the second smallest of the member states of the European Union. Only the Mediterranean island of Malta is smaller than Luxembourg. But Luxembourg is an important member of the European Union, and as already said, it's one of the founding members. So the European Union was established in the 50s of the last century. Then it was not a union, then it was an economical community. And the founding states were 3 large and 3 small ones, and the large ones were Italy, France and Germany, and the small ones were Luxembourg, Belgium and the Netherlands. And then later we had more members, and it was changed then, and today we have, after the Brexit, still 27 member states of the European Union, and Luxembourg is one of the most important, and it's ideally located in the center, in the heart of Europe, and therefore it has a very special position. Here in Luxembourg we have our own language, so this language is Luxembourgish. But in Luxembourg they do not only speak the Luxembourgish language, they have different languages here, because from the historical side Luxembourg was frequently dominated by the big neighbors in the west, France, in the east Germany. The French and the German language are important here in Luxembourg as well. So we have here in this country, we have 3 official languages: Luxembourgish, German and French. So whenever you go, you need to have a new passport, for example, and you go to the town hall, you have to fill out a paper sheet, and this paper sheet is printed in 3 languages. So it's very easy for the Luxembourgish people, but it does not matter. One language would be sufficient because they all speak at least 4 languages here in Luxembourg. They are very polyglot because they are learning it from the beginning. So when the children are born, of course, in the families they speak normally Luxembourgish and grow up with Luxembourgish, and then in the kindergarten and in the primary school they speak German and French. And then in the secondary school, after 4 years in school, they have the first so-called foreign language, which is then English. So the people here in Luxembourg are all able to speak 4 languages at least. Because the majority of the people here in Luxembourg does even speak more than 4 languages, because Luxembourg is a land of immigration. So we have more than 50% of the people of Luxembourg are immigrants, and we have, for example, a big group of people here which came in the former times from Portugal. And because in the former times we had here a big and important steel industry, and there were a lot of workers needed, and then a big group of people from Portugal came here to Luxembourg to work here in the steel industry, and a lot of them stayed here. And they are now in the 3rd and 4th generation here in Luxembourg, and they're really Luxembourgish people, but they do not forget their roots, of course. And they teach their children the Portuguese language, of course, and the traditions as well. And we have, by the way, we have the biggest group of Portuguese people here in Luxembourg outside of Portugal. So now you find never in the world so many Portuguese people as in Luxembourg, only in Portugal itself. So these people, for example, they are already speaking 5 languages, so they're really polyglot. And it's later in the city, for example, if you should not know exactly the way back to meet me again and to find the bus again, you can ask anyone in the city. They all can answer you in English, not a problem at all. And the Luxembourgish language is the regional dialect, or the so-called dialect of the Moselle Frankish of this region here, and therefore there's an interesting situation that Luxembourgish and the regional dialect which is spoken on the other side of the border in Germany are very similar. They have the same roots, and therefore the German people of this region here around Trier, they understand the Luxembourgish idioms and the Luxembourgish language, and on the other hand, the Luxembourgish people very well understand the people in Germany when they are speaking in their original dialect, and therefore it's very easy to communicate between the Germans and the Luxembourgish people. So, by the way, I'm German. I'm living in close to the city of Trier, and I'm one of the so-called commuters. So tour guiding is not my main profession. I have another job in the industry, in the automotive branch, and I work in Luxembourg. And this is a case for 40,000 people in the greater region of Trier. On the other side of the Moselle River, there's already Germany, so very close to here. And a lot of people have decided to go to Luxembourg to work there. And I'm one of this. And the reason is, of course, imagine the payment. Payment is better in Luxembourg because Luxembourg is a very rich country. We have here the highest per head average income in Europe, and one of the highest per head average incomes in the world. And therefore the salary, the payment here in Luxembourg is better than in the countries in the surroundings, in Germany, in France, Belgium, and so on. Therefore, a lot of people from these countries have decided to go to Luxembourg to work there. On the other hand, we have the jobs here. So, for example, the German region around Trier has not big industry, not like Luxembourg. They still have big industry here. Then Luxembourg is one of the capital cities of the European Union, so there are some European institutions located in Luxembourg. You will see them later. and therefore there are a lot of people working for these institutions of the European Union. And last but not least, Luxembourg is an important financial center. A lot of bank houses and financial institutions have their offices or even their European headquarters in Luxembourg, and therefore you find a lot of well-paid jobs here in this region. This is the major reason that so many people have decided to go from the neighbor states to Luxembourg to work there. And when I tell you that the payment is better, it's a little bit differing. So normally in the majority of the branches, the per head per hour payment is not so much higher. It's a little bit higher as in the other countries, but not so, not really the big difference. The big difference is that Luxembourg is asking less taxes and duties and deductions. So, for example, in my case, if I had the same job as I do now in Luxembourg, on the other side of the border in Germany, I would pay approximately 44% of my salary for taxes, duties, healthcare, insurance against disemployment, and so on and so on. So in Luxembourg, I pay, instead of 44% of my salary, 16.8%. So you see, this is the major difference. This is the big difference. And not that my company has to pay higher wages and salaries. No, it's less deducted from your money, and there's more leaving on your bank account if you had paid all your duties. And this is the major reason that a lot of people have decided to go to Luxembourg to work there. And when I told you about the Luxembourgish language, then I can already tell you some important words in Luxembourgish which should be helpful. And the most helpful word here in Luxembourg is a very easy to pronounce one. It's moyen. It's written M-O-I-E-N, moyen, and it does not mean good morning. It is not only used in the morning. This moyen comes, by the way, not from the French or from the German. It comes from the Netherlands expression, and the word in the Netherlands means beautiful. And this is the word moyen the people in Luxembourg use as a greeting form the complete day. So you can tell it in the morning, in lunchtime, in the afternoon, in the evening. Even if you're stumbling at 3 a.m. in the discotheque and you're shouting out, moyen, everything is fine. Then you were nice and have greeted all the people there. So moyen you can use 24 hours a day, no problem, and all people are giving you a moyen, a friendly moyen back. And if you were in a shop, for example, in a restaurant, and you paid and you leave then you say then Eddie and merci. Eddie is goodbye, see you, have a good time, and merci is if everything was fine, and you say thanks a lot, so that means then goodbye and thanks a lot and good time. Eddie and merci. So then you have, this is all you need here in Luxembourg, then you are considered as a very friendly visitor.
What about your weather? Does it snow in the winter?
I was just asking about the weather here. We have here in the winter we have some snow on the hills here. In the river valley itself, it's normally we do not have any snow. We have frequently in the winter the situation that on the hills where we are now, for example, it's 2, 3, 4 degrees cooler as at the Moselle. Directly because the valley is a little bit heated even in winter by the Moselle, by the river, because the river has then only 10 or 12 degrees Celsius, but it's still warmer than the surroundings, and therefore the valley itself has a warmer air as here on top, and therefore we have frequently, for example, the situation in the winter that we have some snow here on the hills, but only 2, 3, 4 centimeters, so not a big one, and in the valley normally not. And in summertime we have degrees. Last weeks, so we had now, this was unusual, the last 10 days quite cool and rainy weather, and before we had a phase of 6 or 8 weeks dry and hot, and we had already around about 90, 95, 100 degrees Fahrenheit here in June. And we expect from the middle of next week it will be back to at least 80, 85 Fahrenheit. Then this is the normal summer, and in the summertime it's we have normally some days with sunshine, very good weather, and then normally the humidity is increasing, then you have some rain showers, thunderstorm, and the next day then it's fine again. And so it's an up and down always, but the windmills and the farmers were very happy that it was raining now the last days, but they say now it's enough, it's good, let's stop it. And this would be good for the grapes, for the wine industry, and good for the other things as well. So especially now at the moment they are trying to harvest wheat and rye and so, and wheat and rye has to be dry. If it's not dry, you cannot harvest it, because it would then be rotten later. It has to be dry if you harvest it. So therefore the farmers are waiting for some days of sunshine that the rye and the wheat are dry and they can harvest it. And for the farmers it's great. They said it's good to have some rain, because then the grapes have more juice inside. But now for the next weeks until the harvest, which will start in the middle of September, they are wishing to have a lot of sunny weather, because every hour of sunshine makes the grapes a little bit sweeter and makes the quality of the wine a little bit better. So I told you already, we are here in a Grand Duchy. This is the one and only Grand Duchy in the world. And the head of the state here is the Grand Duke, so this is the monarchy. And the Grand Duke, Henri, he is the head of the state, he's the boss here in Luxembourg, but he has nothing to say, because he's only the representative. He has no political power, and even meanwhile no political influence. In the days before and the years before, he had to countersign every legislation which was made by the parliament, but this is skipped now, and so for the time being, the parliament is absolute, like we have it in other democracies as well. The parliament is the political, has the political power, and the most powerful gentleman here in Luxembourg is Xavier Bettel. He's the prime minister, and he has the political power here in Luxembourg. And on our walking tour later in the city, we can show you both the parliament of the city of Luxembourg and the Grand Duke's palace as well. But you will not see the Grand Duke, because it's vacation time and he's not in Luxembourg at the moment with his family. He's gone like every year to the south of France to spend the holidays in the south of France. The big hall you see here, the big halls, these are parts of the international airport of Luxembourg. So Luxembourg is a very small country, but they are proud to have anything, and of course they have an international airport. But they have not 25 or 30 in this country, only one. This is this one here in Findel, and here from Findel they are starting some smaller connections to big cities in Europe, to Amsterdam, to London, to Paris, to Barcelona, Madrid, Rome, and so on. And we have Luxair Tours. This is a tour operator for vacation, so we love to go to Luxembourg because it's a very small airport, and the alternative for us would be if we want to go to the Canary Islands or to Mallorca, or this holiday vacation destinations, we have to go to Cologne or Düsseldorf or Frankfurt, which are international airports, very large ones, and you have to run miles and miles before you're in the correct terminal. And then here in Luxembourg, everything is very small and it's very easy. So it's a little bit more expensive, but the people here of this region love to use Lux Air Tours as their operator for the vacation. But it's not a really big operator, and big and important is this airport for freight. And here you can transport really everything. We have the freight company, it's called Cargolux. And Cargolux is one of the major freight companies in the world. And they are cooperating with Qatar Airways from the Emirates. And so we have here more than 20 Boeing 747 freighters, which use this as a hub here in Luxembourg. And Cargolux is specialized on a lot of freight because it's this. The location is of course perfect in the heart of the center of Europe, and from here you can reach a lot of big cities and important cities and destinations easily by truck. And therefore they use this as the hub to fly the freight in here. And Cargolux is specialized on living animals. So they have a big quarantine station here, and they can transport all animals you can think about. So if you have an elephant or tiger or something like this, or a giraffe at home, and you want to send them to Europe or to another state, it's very easy. Just ask Cargolux. They have a solution. The most spectacular thing they ever were moving were 2 beluga whales. These beluga whales were born in a zoo in Singapore in Asia. Then they grew up, and then the zoos found out, oh, they are too big now. We do not have a basin for them. And then they said, okay, the best would be to bring them back where they came from. And the original beluga whales come from the cold North Atlantic. So then Cargolux did modify 2 747 freighters with a big basin inside, saltwater basin. Then they flew to Singapore, took up these 2 beluga whales, and then first they came back to Luxembourg. Stopped here for 48 hours to calm down the animals as well. And then they continued then to Iceland, to Reykjavik. In Reykjavik, they were then unloaded and brought to the North Pacific and North Atlantic, and they are still, of course, they are equipped with GPS sensors, and this took place 6 years ago, and both beluga whales are still alive. We know this because of these GPS sensors, and one was a female, and she has got at least 2 children already, so it was a very successful operation. So now we are already in the surroundings of the city, and we have to go down now first, and then we climb a hill. And the city of Luxembourg looks back to an history of about 1,000 years. It was founded at the end of the first millennium in 963. Then a knight bought a piece of soil, a piece of land, and on this piece of land there was a rock, a massive rock, and he said, okay, this is a good place to erect my castle. And so he founded Luxembourg, and first this castle was called in the medieval language Duchy. This is today's Luxembourg, and the translation, the meaning is my little castle. So the city and the country we are now exploring has the original and medieval name was my little castle. And then around this castle, then some people settled down, and so the first town was founded, and later it became then an important city, and today it's the city of Luxembourg. And as Luxembourg is located centrally in the center, in the heart of Europe, you can imagine that especially their big neighbors did try to have the control over Luxembourg, over this important strategic point here. And so the rulers changed a lot of times. So the Luxembourg was belonging to Spanish Habsburg, to the French several times, to to Austria, to the Netherlands, and so on, and to the Prussian Empire, the King of Berlin, and so on and so on. So the rulers changed a lot of times, and in the medieval times it was a fortress. Luxembourg was fortified very well with 3 belts of fortification walls, and in the surroundings you see we're just passing a creek here, or a small river. There are 2 rivers around Luxembourg, the Petrus and the Alzette. And Luxembourg itself is located on these massive rocks here. You see, you can imagine in the medieval times, on top of this rock we had then another fortification line and fortification wall. So Luxembourg was really not easy to conquer in the medieval times, and indeed Luxembourg was never conquered on a military way. It was just the rulers changed after negotiations. Never ever a ruler could manage to conquer Luxembourg in a military way. And now when this to the right hand side, just behind the next lights, you can see Luxembourg, the old town, the old city already. Here now to the right, the first view impression of the old town of Luxembourg City. And this is, by the way, since the 1984 or 82, it's a part of the UNESCO World Heritage. So the complete historic old city is part of the UNESCO World Heritage. So in some minutes we will leave the bus and start with our guided walking tour. For the guided walking tour you can use your Quiet Walks devices, and if you please switch on channel 15. Channel 15, and you shall be able to hear me. If you have difficulties to switch the channel, no problem, come to me. I can help you with this. And but you can hear me then on channel 15 on the box devices. 15, yes. So we're going now to the right, passing this bridge here, and then we're entering the historic town of the city, or the historic city part. Just around the corner where there's then a public bus stop for the public buses, and we can stop there for a second and leave the bus, and then the bus has to go, but at the same place we will board later again. And you will see it's very easy to find back, but later I meet you in the city, where at the place where our guided walking tour is finished, and then I guide you back to this place here. So if you do not want, you do not have to remember this place, because I bring you back to here where we will leave the board the bus again. So it's the same place as we are now leaving it. So here we are. Now please take anything with you what you need in the next 2 hours, and if you have something with you that you not need in the next 2 hours, you can leave it on board here. Nobody will be using this bus, but here we go out now.